Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legends of Tomorrow. Two episodes 511 titled Freaks and Geeks, which premiered May 12th, 2020, as well as episode 512 titled I Am Legends, which premiered May 19th, 2020, both on the CW or on Netflix, depending on when you're watching it. I'm recording 20 minutes after 512 has aired, so also just in case for numbering wise, it's the 12th and 13th episode actually filmed for the show, but because of the crisis crossover considered to be before the season, everything got shift over or shift up a number or down a number. Anyways, it got shifted over. So there's that in case there's any confusions for that. But boy, guys, a lot happened, not only in tonight's episode, which is 512, but also just in the Arrowverse in general, which I will talk about later on in the video, so stay tuned about that and my thoughts about it. Also, it's just been a very long day too. 10-hour day class for me today, so I'm a little excited, but I'm still a little wired after seeing the episode, so I really want to talk about that. I will try to do this in 20 minutes, hopefully no more than 30, just because I am talking about 2 episodes for this. So no timer, but I'm keeping a watch on the clock. So let's start with what happened in these episodes. So again, I'll cover each topic and then I'll flip between the 2 episodes as I go. So timeline-wise for 511, it's possibly the same weekend as 510 since Lita is still hanging out with Mick and she was supposed to have the weekend with him, and which was established in 510. Also, for timeline, in regards to like where they are, since this is a time travel show, they really stay in the present day at Hudson University because not only is Lita there to like check out the universities, but also it's Nathan's old fraternity that they end up visiting along Greek Row. So there's that. In regards to 512, though, it pretty much continues where 511 ended because of the fact that 512 covers the next 24 hours since what happened at the end of 511, which I'll confirm later on as we hit the points. But it does take place in London of 2020, so there isn't any actual historical time jumping going on in either episodes, actually. I mean, you do get a little bit of a flashback sequence in 511, that's pretty much it. Now, villains or encores is actually just villains. There are no encores in either of the episodes. So 511, we do see Dionysus, the party king, or the party god. He's not technically a villain in the sense that like he's trying to harm people, but he does play the antagonist because he's preventing the legends from getting what they want, and that is his chalice, which I'll talk about in a moment. For 512, though, that's not the case. We do get the villains being the Fate Sisters, Lachesis, and Atropo, and then also they are the cause of the big zombie hordes that happen in London that the legends have to face. So let's get right into storylines. First off, for 511, I only picked up on 2 very distinctly different storylines. A lot of them, at the end, they do all wrap up with each other, but the first one is dealing with the Chalice of Dionysus, and the second one is the campus tour. Kind of think of it like the A and B storyline. C is kind of rumbled in there, but anyways, for the number 1 with the Chalice of Dionysus, this is where they are. This is why Dionysus is the antagonist, because it's his chalice. Whoever drinks from it is granted immortality or god status for 24 hours to whoever drinks from it. So this is the 24 hours that's being said in 512, which I further explain later. But the legends, they go through a lot to get to this chalice. They try to rush for sorority, they failed. They try creating their own sorority, they got disqualified for the Chug Challenge. They tried dethroning Dionysus as the party king, which leads to Sara, a blind Sara, with her visions of the future, allowing her to win at beer pong against him, which now grants the chalice as theirs, or him to uphold their deal. And the legends, all legends except for Zari, drink from the chalice, therefore granting them immortality for the next 24 hours. And in 512, we see them with that immortality for the 24-hour period. So we'll talk about that in a moment. With the second storyline, though, with 511 is the campus tour. Now, this is where after after Lita tells her dad, Mick, and her aunt, Ava, which I thought was so cute that she referenced Ava as her aunt, after she is shown support from them about her interest in Hudson University, they allow her to tag along to come to Hudson University so she can have a campus tour. So Mick kind of takes lead on that. That kind of gets deviated when he drags Nathan along to help out. But by the end of it, Mick and Lita were both kind of feeling embarrassed of not fitting in with the whole college crowd, not because of each other, like Mick feared that Lita was embarrassed of him, but Lita was more embarrassed that she couldn't fit in personally with them. So eventually, they kind of just say, what the hell with it. But they do along the way help out the legends in trying to get the chalice. Like they kind of do recon and kind of keep their eyes on it. And when the time was right, they were able to snatch it and deliver it to the rest of the legends. So there's that. So it's a little bit of father-daughter bonding there. Though Mick does reference that he went back in time so that he could donate to Hudson University, which allowed for his name to get... so one of the buildings got dedicated to the Rory name. He kind of did that in hopes of it like boosting Lita's chances as a school legacy. And that's where they had their heart-to-heart moment. So that's the only time traveling in the episode, but we don't actually see him do it. It's explained instead and seen in the huge building dedication. Anyways, let's move on to 512 storylines. It's 2 of them this time. Stranded in London, which is again over a 24-hour period. And then I'm calling the second one Stowaway Aboard the Wave Rider. So for the first storyline, because it takes place immediately after 511, we see the legend stranded in Constantine's home. In order to try to get back to the Wave Rider, since they have no communication from it, they try to go to the Time Bureau safe house that's located in London to get a time courier. Sara has a vision about her death. I don't know if she said that she saw all of their deaths at this safe house, but she kept it to herself until like moments before it was actually meant to happen. So there's that. And along the way, they're dealing with zombies attacking London, all thanks to Atropo infecting the area with her power. Like we saw in, I think, the Vancouver episode. I can't remember which number. I want to say either 8 or 9, I think, but it's one of them. Anyways, there's that. So the second storyline, though, we get aboard the Wave Rider. Astra struggles with her loyalties between Lachesis and the Legends. Lachesis tells her not to resurrect her mother because it'll just bring her more suffering. Legends have always promoted her wanting to save her mother. Gary kind of supports that. And speaking of Gary, he was actually on the Wave Rider. He went back sooner than the others, and because of that, he was able to be the stowaway on board when the Lachesis and Atropos took it over. And Gary gets a mission from his hallucination of Gideon to steal the Loom Fate rings and hide them so that the sisters don't have it. So that was a little fun dynamic there. I should have went with last scenes before I went into the storylines for 512, but the last scenes for both episodes is the fact that for 511, we see Lachesis collecting on Astra's life debt to her, which is the reason why Astra pretty much commandeered the Wave Rider for the Fate sisters and why the Legends were left stranded at the beginning of 512. So that explains that. The last scene of 512, though, is the fact that Charlie is the only surviving Legends member and is now forced to work with her sisters to use the Loom of Fate because she hopes that she could undo what had just happened to her fellow Legends teammates. So there is that. Let's move on to major tidbits before we get right down in the nitty-gritty of it. For 511, though, tidbits I picked up on were the fact that Sara's still blind. She seems to have more of a handle on her foresight than in the previous episode. She's been given the sunglasses to kind of hide the fact that she's blind, or to hide the fact that her eyes look different for us, the viewers. So it's one of those practical loopholes right there. Also, we see Astra trying to bond with the Legends Sisterhood. We see Nathan trying to recapture his college glory days thanks to Dion, aka Dionysus' special brew. We see Bebo being a text meme, which I thought was hilarious. And then we see Nathan really putting his buns of steel to work at the fraternity party by actually turning his butt to steel when they try to paddle it. I mean, taking a whole new meaning to the phrase, but yeah, there's that. And let's see, for 512, the major tidbits, let's go into that, is the fact that we get Zari and Constantine kiss while they're in a major fight with each other. You know, tensions build, tensions rise, the love-hate relationship type of thing. It's assumed that they had sex afterwards, but they had a very heated 2 kisses. She kissed him, and then he reciprocated after they pulled back. So anyways, there's that. Don't know if it's going to come of anything once everything's settled. But yeah. And then we have Mick using his criminal background to, 1, hijack a bus for them, and 2, to help them escape a military transport. So go Mick. And then we also see Sara secretly preparing Ava to be captain while also being a little more chilled and laid back and giving her more advice on like, don't fret when the plan doesn't work. It rarely works. Legends usually work on improv type of thing. So we see that. And then we do see a team up between Gary and Gideon, even though it's just a hallucination on Gideon's part. It was pretty cool, yet pretty weird how they played off of each other. But now because it was a hallucination, I wonder if the real Gideon would have reacted in the same way to Gary as he thinks she would have. But yeah, there's that. He did make a meta joke of the fact that like they should have their own spin-off. So there's that. But let's move on to major reminders for the 2 episodes, or what I like to call the overall story arc you need to take away from it. Give me 1 moment. I need a little bit of water. Benefit to no timer. I can take a water break whenever I need it. All right, I'm ready. So, 511. The thing you need to take away from this is the fact that the legends drank from Dionysus' chalice, which granted them the 24-hour immortality, and all except for Zari, which is what they needed and what was focused on in 512, which they got into a lot of stuff during their short reign of immortality. So there's that. But for 512, huge takeaway is the fact that all the legends are dead except for Charlie. I mean, it's assumed that they're dead. We definitely got confirmation that Astra and Gary were killed by Atropos. We got that. It's assumed that Sara died because she got overrun by zombies. It's the same thing for Ava and Nathan. We saw them get overrun by zombies. It's assuming that the same thing happened for Mick, Constantine, and Zari, since they were all left in that Time Bureau safe house when Charlie made a run for it for the Time Courier portal to the Wave Rider. So there's that. Most shocking moment of the episodes. I'll be honest, pretty much whatever that overall story arc I just said for both episodes, those are pretty much my shocking moments for the episodes. I will be honest. For the most shocking moment, I'll go a little more in detail. The fact that all the legends drank from the chalice to get their immortality, that was a surprise to me because I really thought they were just going to pick 2 of them so that they could complete the Trinity with Charlie. Obviously, Charlie would have. I didn't get why Charlie had to drink for the chalice as well, but then I remember she's not immortal anymore. I can't remember why. Maybe it was one of the spells that Constantine did. But I thought they were going to try to make their own trio again. So it would have been, I thought it was going to be Charlie, Sara, and Astra was going to be the new triad. But the fact that they were all allowed to drink for the chalice, that was a shock for me because I thought it would have to be limited. But then for me, it made sense that like that it was smart of them to all drink for the chalice, because then if it was just the 3 of them that drank from it and something were to happen to those 3, then that was kind of like, that's it. But this way, if all of them, they had more chances of completing a triad in case 1 or 2 got indisposed at the time. You know what I mean? So yeah, it just took me by surprise that all 3 of them were allowed to. Because for some reason, I thought they could only fulfill it with like 3. You know what I mean? So there's that. Now, why the shocker was the fact that the legends all died. Well, hello, they died. Like, that's a huge shocker right there, especially when we only have 2 more episodes of the season to go. Plus, they renewed it for season 6. So it's like, how are they getting out of this? But then at the same time, I kind of felt like a deja vu moment for me. And I don't know if anyone wants to hear this. I'll put it up on the screen, what I'm going to reference to in case you want to plug your ears or put me on mute while I'm talking about this. But the reason why, just take a note of the screen to when you can get the notification of plug your ears. But the reason why I felt that this whole idea of all the legends dying with only 1 of them surviving and them going to have to like rewrite fate to save them all again. The reason why it was a deja vu for me, because after I thought about it, it's because it happened on the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So again, mute if you haven't seen the latest season, season 3. The tail end, I think it was episode 8, because I think there's no, whatever. The second to last episode of season 3 pretty much did the exact same thing. A lot of the main characters died on Sabrina, and Sabrina wakes up in the future to find out that if she went back in time, she could save everybody. So pretty much giving us the very doom and gloom ending, but also kind of going back in time to kind of erase that option to get the hooray, good, happy ending that we wanted. Kind of felt like this is what they were trying to set up for the legends in this episode. So I'm a little shocked that they went to this extent for the legends to be killed off like this. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't know how I feel about them pulling a Sabrina move like this. Just because, like, I didn't like how it was done. It just seemed like a cheap move to me. But then at the same time, it's like Legends is all about time travel. And this whole season has been about them using the Loom of Fate to rewrite history without rewriting history. Right? You know what I mean? So there's that. Now, for those of you not on screen anymore, you can unmute me if you haven't already seen Sabrina. We'll talk about strictly just Legends now. So let's move on to my top favorite moments. For 5/11, the fact that Sara won at beer pong and the celebration that came afterwards, that was pretty cool in itself. It's just great to see the legends coming together as a team and celebrating, like all of them celebrating together. That was pretty fun to see. Another favorite I did have was just the whole idea behind the Delta Sisterhood, especially on the Legends side of that Delta Sisterhood. Don't really care about the student aspect of that. But it's pretty cool to see how they're connecting and bonding with each other and how they were able to help each other grow as a person, essentially. And you definitely see a bit more of a fleshed out a dynamic between Charlie and Astra. They definitely are at each other's heads so much, but you definitely see something there. And then another favorite was just the bonding between Mick and Lita, the father-daughter bonding. And like they were able to be more expressive with each other and be truthful. And I really like that. And then afterwards, they were able to just like go do recon on this chalice and wait for them to be able to snag it for the team. I thought that was pretty fun. So there's that. Now for 5/12, my favorite would have to be Zari and Constantine. Not only the fact that they had their heated fight that led to a kiss moment for sure, but I did like their ups and downs in the episode. When it was just the two of them, and then Constantine not wanting to leave Zari to die when she told him to go so that he could be able to save her brother. The fact that he trusted her with the spell, and he was worried when he didn't think that he could resuscitate her, resurrect her, like he thought it would be. So it's just like a whole thing between them. They've had some really good episodes with just the two of them. I think it's just the last 2 that they've had together. But I really like how things are growing with them. I don't know how that's going to tie in with Nathan because of the whole original Zari and Nathan thing. But they definitely have a lot of tension between them. So I really liked that it came to a head in this episode. So there's that. Another moment I liked was the fact that Mick was the one who figured out how to escape that military transport. That was just hilarious. It was just not only hilarious, but it's fun to see that those skill sets of his were being used to help the team out, which is fun. And then the moment where he pulled off, when he pretty much tossed the bus driver off the bus, I knew Mick was going to do that. I would have been disappointed if he did not do that once the bus driver said, "No one's coming on my bus unless they pay the fare," type of thing. And then he makes like have it your way and he just tosses the bus driver off. It's like, I would have been very disappointed if that did not happen. So I'm glad that it did. So there's that. Also, I'll kind of combine it with Mick, but I did like that we got to see Nathan using more of his steel power in the fight scene, and him like just really like going at it and like being much more part of it. I do appreciate that. It seems like it was very underutilized earlier. Not in the episode, but earlier, either in the season or like last season. So I'm glad to see it was being used a little bit more. So there's that. And then another favorite I did have was, strangely enough, Gary's connection to Astra. Astra was meant to torture Gary, but then Gary tried to appeal to her desire to want to have her mom back. And it wasn't any malicious intent or anything from Gary, but the fact that he was trying to connect to her, saying like, well, isn't there any good memory of your mom that you would want or that you could share? And he was kind of like telling her like that you could share instead of torturing me. Like, I'm here. Like, he was opening himself up to like be there and listen to anything she had to say. So I did really appreciate that. Like, he's very genuine in his concerns. Like, when she even said that, like, I had to watch my mother die, and he was like very expressive to the fact, like, oh my God, are you are you okay? I don't know how you I would feel to go through that. Like, he was trying to check in on her, and like it was like a gut reaction to check in. So I thought it was very sweet of Gary. I did like in the end that she wanted to help him out before she got stabbed. Wanted to help him get the rest of the legends back so they can get her mom back. So I did like she tried to redeem herself in that aspect. But I thought it was pretty interesting approach with Gary. He's been doing really well. I mean, the previous episode, was it the previous one? 510, he gave Mick the advice about being a parent and what it's like to do a lot without getting any thanks in return type of thing. So yeah, I really like that. But moving on to top peeved moments. For 511, the peeve I wrote down was the fact that Lachesis interrupted the fun of the episode with her appearance in the last scene. I mean, otherwise from that, the episode was pretty good. It was fun. It was very Legends-esque. I mean, I could have gone without Lachesis appearing in the last scene and calling upon Astra for her life debt. But I understand why it was needed. She needed to be the monkey. She needed to be the wrench-wielding monkey that just makes trouble and all that. I don't know if that made sense for you guys, but there's that. But my peeve for 512 was the fact that I really was expecting throughout the episode, because we saw Gary Jr. too, the bunny, so many times. I was expecting it to Hulk out or like to turn into this creature that his previous owner warned Gary about, like don't feed it after midnight. I was expecting like a creature, like him to actually eat after midnight, and then a creature would form and that would be let loose on the Wave Rider. I was expecting that, but the fact that they just made the bunny as like the substitute for Gideon, so like Gary wasn't actually with Gideon, he was just with Gary Jr. too the whole time. I was a little disappointed by that. And then another disappointment I had, it was more of a hypocrite moment, and that was with Constantine telling Zari that it may just be that Bayrod's fate is inedible in no matter what timeline. It's just one of those fixed moments that they can't change. I just thought that was a hypocritical, because he is also trying to change Astra's mom's fate by bringing her back to life with the Loom of Fate. And I thought, like, here's Zari who wants to bring her brother back with the Loom of Fate, and you're telling her maybe it's just inevitable that he's supposed to die. And yet you're also trying to use the Loom of Fate to bring back Astra's mom. So it's like, why? It's like, no, it's like it was like an observation that did not need to happen in this instance. Like, I like that they maybe were trying to tie it in with those hard fixed moments in time that they couldn't change, and it was like something that just was a deal breaker for the rules of time travel. But then when I thought about it, it's like, no, you can't. It makes sense for Rip Hunter to say it, but for Constantine to say it, it doesn't work, because he's also trying to do the same thing. But I did like he brought Rip Hunter up about talking about like those fixed moments and stuff. So there's that. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. I had a few for 511. First one was, did anyone else forget that Charlie was not immortal anymore? Does anyone know why she's not immortal anymore? Because if that's the case, is that the reason why she has trouble using the Loom of Fate by herself? That's a question there. Also, another tidbit. No, I'll get to 512 afterwards, but another question was, what did Gary do after being told he couldn't rush a Greek party? I feel like that was the last moment we saw him in the episode. So I'm wondering what else he did after that. So there's that. And the last question for 511 was, were Constantine and Zari flirting with their little exchange over his house being used for the new Delta house? And she made the comment about sheep bites too. Like, were they flirting there? Or were they just stating facts? And I'm just looking more into it. Maybe they were actually flirting, considering what happened between them in 512. But anyone else picking up on that? I don't know. But 512, my question was, where was Lita if 512 was meant to take place immediately after the events of 511 and she was part of 511? Or did Lita go home earlier in 511 than I thought she did? Like, did she go home before they all drank from Dionysus' chalice, or was she still there? I don't remember. So that's a question there. Now, the thing I wanted to mention about 512 was the fact that when Atropos was making zombies when she was using her powers and her loom ring over the globe, her hand seemed to be reacting to it. I don't know if that's always something that happens when she uses the ring, or it's just maybe it's something wrong with her currently, and that's why the ring is reacting to her so strongly. So I'm wondering if you guys think that is meant to be a clue of some sort, or is meant to show how powerful the rings are when being used. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. So let's get into predictions, because we really want to talk about this. But the promo for 513 showed that the Legends are stuck in a TV show, and they're all scattered a bunch of. So it looked like in their version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, so probably their version of Mr. Parker's Cul-de-sac. It looked like they were on their version of Friends. It also looked like they were on their version of Star Trek. Whoop, hold on. All right, sorry, phone call. And then it also looked like Charlie was trying, like, there was one line that said from Charlie that she can't let the Legends leave. So don't know what's going on there, but it also looks like she's kind of working with her sisters as well, too. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But the synopsis, though, reads, after Charlie does the one thing that goes against her nature when it comes to her sisters, she tries to protect the Legends by scattering them in different television shows. Of course, in true Legends style, some can't just be blissfully ignorant and happy, but figure out a way to end up messing with the system. Now, I'm super excited about this because, if you don't know already, Supernatural did this in episode 508. So I'm excited to see how Legends does it, which shows they tackle and how they fit the Legends team into those specific roles. So that would be pretty funny there. But they're going to have to explain how it's possible that they were able to be in the TV after all apparently suffering from the zombie ambush. You know what I mean? So there is that. Let's move on to the news, guys. This is what I've been anxious about to talk to you with. First off, good news, or I guess it depends on how you see it, but May 14th was the CW Upfronts announcements. Pretty much this is the event where they would announce what the upcoming television season schedule would look like. Due to the pandemic, it's really shifted over. So they revealed that Season 6 for Legends will return during the mid-season of the 2020-2021 television season. Unfortunately, all the regular fall programming got pushed to air at January 2021. So that means anything that would have aired in January originally, like any of the mid-season shows, they are going to get pushed back to maybe early, late spring, all due to the pandemic that is currently happening around the world and its effects with shutting down production. So that's the good news. If you want a little bit more about any of the other CW shows, I did make a video about it, so check my channel about that if you really want like a more vocal summary of the example of the news and my thoughts about them. Otherwise, there is a press release attached to that video that the CW dished out if you want to have an actual read about it. So that's something there as well. Now, the shocking thing that was announced today, apparently at 5 p.m. today, so like 5 hours ago for me, almost 6. I don't even know. I actually don't know how I came across it though. I think it was, I don't even know. But it was just released today. Shocking news that Ruby Rose, aka Kate Kane, aka Batwoman, is leaving the role of Batwoman. Now, I normally don't talk about Batwoman on my show or on my channel unless like it's the crossover event. But I'm truly shocked by this. I really like Batwoman and the show itself. I really like Ruby Rose's portrayal of Kate Kane. Season 1 just keep getting better and better in my opinion. It definitely reminded me a lot of Arrow's original first seasons just because it was a lot more grounded in like in real world criminals and problems with no metahuman, no supernatural, no like enhanced elements to it, like you'd get with the Flash with metahumans and with Supergirl with aliens. Batwoman was more like Arrow in that aspect, and I really liked that. And it was just concentrating on so many different things. So I'm really shocked that she's leaving the show. I mean, they just aired their makeshift finale this past Sunday, so to know that that was her last performance, I'm like, I don't even know how to feel about that. But yeah, so technically Batwoman doesn't have until like January until we see new episodes again, theoretically, if this pandemic still goes as it is. But yeah, I still don't even know how to process it. Honestly, I don't even know how. I always hate recasting, especially in roles like this, because it's like, how are you good? It's either you have the characters acknowledge the fact that there was a casting, or you just disregard it and just hope that no one notices. But I do hope they mention it, just because Batwoman, here's my theory, and I hope they go with this route. So bear with me, because I know you guys are Legends of Tomorrow fans because you're watching this video. But I hope, because it's part of the Arrowverse, you will indulge me for a quick moment as I talk about Batwoman. I'm hoping that since Batwoman has shown that the art of taking one face and implanting it on another and making it believable is actually something that is plausible in Batwoman, I hope they do that to explain why Kate Kane would have a different face. Because they did that in the finale, and spoiler alert, you could put the tag up top and mute it if you don't want. But in the season finale, they had Tommy Elliott, or they had Alice give Tommy Elliott a new face in the form of Bruce Wayne. So the world will see it's Bruce Wayne, but it's actually Tommy Elliott underneath the fake face. Now, I'm wondering if, because of this recasting issue, if they could do the exact same thing for Kate. Maybe she got severely damaged, or severely damaged or burned, or maybe she needs to go in hiding and doing a new face is a way to do it. But then she'd really have to forego her whole identity as Kate Kane. So I'm hoping they use Alice's shtick with the whole stealing faces thing. I hope they use that as the excuse or at least to explain why Kate Kane does not have the face of Ruby Rose anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that's the way they go, because I think that's the only way I could see it being believable to explain the recasting. But I'm disappointed, though, that she's leaving. I mean, she really had great chemistry with a lot of the characters. I really wanted to see her with Kara again. I really wanted to see Batwoman in the new crossover event that's supposed to happen between her and Superman and Lois. Spin-off that's supposed to be happening as well. But yeah, I mean, there's so much I could say, but yeah, I'm just disappointed. And that's something I really wanted to share with you guys, to see not only A, how many of you guys watch Batwoman, and B, how many of you actually heard the news and what are your thoughts about it. Please let me know in the comments down below. One of the main reasons why I didn't start doing Batwoman recaps is the fact that it was just too many at one time that I could focus on. I mean, if you notice this year, I had to scale back because of the fact that I'm back in school. So kind of wish that I could do Batwoman, because it really outdoes it. I thought it outdid itself every week. But yeah, thought I'd take a few moments to talk about that. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. If you have any of your own comments, questions, or your own theories about what can happen in the final 2 episodes of Legends, or if you want to talk about what the Batwoman news itself, please let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear about all that. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clip, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. Same thing for WordPress. Link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. So once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I know I said it already, but thank you so much for your patience. I do hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. I'm still debating whether or not I will combine 513 and 514 in a video together, or if I'll do them two separately. It will depend on what my homework is looking like for next week. But still, ring the notification bell just to keep up to date with that. Also, just a heads up, the 100 is starting tomorrow, May 20th. So my reactions for those will be starting up again as well. Because otherwise, it's just my Legends and my 100 videos for the next little while. But again, thank you so much, guys. I really got to go. My throat's starting to hurt. But this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.